You believe your doctor caused you harm and injury, and now you want to go ahead and bring a lawsuit. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wait a second, how much are my injuries really worth? What are my injuries worth? You want to know the answer to that question? Come join me on this walk through the neighborhood as I share with you an idea, a concept that will give you a better understanding of exactly what your injuries are worth. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, you believe your doctor was careless and caused you significant harm and injury. Now, as you're deciding whether or not to bring a lawsuit against your doctor, you want to know, wait a second, do I really have significant permanent injuries? What is this thing really worth? I read in the paper all the time that people get all this kind of money, these hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars for various kinds of injuries. And you're wondering, wait a second, I have the following injuries. What exactly is my injury worth? So now you decide to call a couple of attorneys, and you want to hear the attorneys tell you exactly what your injury is worth. You're hoping and expecting that the attorney will tell you, oh, your case is worth millions and millions of dollars. That's what you're hoping because you realize how badly injured you are. Each time you pick up the phone to call an attorney, here's the answer they're going to give you on the phone. It depends. And you are getting frustrated. You are getting anxious. You can't understand why an attorney can't give you a straight answer of how much money, how many hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars your injury is actually worth. Every single attorney that you call says the same thing. It depends. What does it actually depend on? The short answer is, it depends. The longer answer is, it depends. Let me tell you what I mean. You could have a 20-year-old who suffers a fractured arm, and now they recuperate pretty quickly, and with a little physical medicine and rehabilitation, they're back to normal, or as best as possible. Contrast that with a 90-year-old who suffers a fractured arm. Well, now their entire life is going to be altered. So it all depends upon your station in life. It depends on your physical capacity. It depends on whether you have any prior problems. And now all of those things are going to be taken into effect. But let me give you a better idea of exactly how an experienced medical malpractice attorney actually determines the value of your injuries. Now, it's going to depend on a number of things, including your age, your physical ability, what prior problems you have, if you have medical problems in the past, the venue, the location where your case is pending, the county in which it is pending, that is a factor, as well as the attorney's mindset. This is critical. This is one of the key points I want you to walk away with from this video. When an attorney goes to trial, and now they're talking to a jury about the injuries that you suffered, our goal is to get the jury to understand not what has been taken from you, but rather what you are left with. Think about that for a moment. I want the jury to understand, yes, you suffered this significant injury. Yes, something was taken from you. But more importantly, I want them to understand what exactly is it you are now left with. Now, why is that such a distinction, and why is that so important? I'll tell you why. Let's say, for example, that this injured patient lost her arm as a result of this doctor's carelessness. Okay, everybody knows it. It's obvious. So now, what's an arm worth? You could go to 10 different people and say, okay, an arm is worth this amount of money. Everybody would have a different opinion as to what they think the arm is worth. And you know what? You could go to an insurance company and they would tell you, okay, we think the arm is worth this much. Well, you could go to workers' compensation, which is totally different than medical malpractice, and they would tell you, okay, we have a chart of exactly what we think injuries are worth for loss of a body part. And they'll give you some standard form that has no bearing whatsoever on how this person is affected by this injury. Let's get back to the point I was making earlier. What is this person left with if they don't have an arm? Let's say they were a basketball player or a professional piano player and earn their living with two hands. Now that they don't have both hands, their entire life is impacted. So think about not just what has been taken from you, but what you are left with. Let's say you're a professional baseball player and you rely on that arm, on that hand, to throw those fastball pitches. And you were getting big bucks to do that. Now that you no longer have that hand, do you think the value of that injury is significantly more than someone who does not rely on two hands for a living? That's exactly the concept that we want to convey to a jury, to show them it's not necessarily what's been taken from us, but rather what this person is now left with. How are they going to cope on a daily basis? How are they going to do their daily activities? now with that disability, how are they going to be affected on an ongoing basis from the time they wake up in the morning until the time they kiss their kids or their spouse goodnight? What is it that's going to be different? How are they going to be limited in their activities and what they can and cannot do? That will give you the answer in a general way about what your injuries really are worth. Because really, if you rely on both hands in that scenario, yes, you're going to have a significantly higher value of injury compared to someone who does not rely on both of their hands on a regular basis to earn an income. So it would be nice to have somebody tell you, okay, you lost a pinky, therefore we think your case is worth $50,000. Oh, but if you lose a leg, your leg is worth $2.5 million. It doesn't work that way. As I mentioned at the beginning, how much is your injury really worth? The answer is, it depends. Now, when we use those concepts to explain to a defense attorney or to an insurance company who represents the doctor whom you have sued that your injuries are now limiting you from doing your daily activities, now the value of your injuries have increased. And the exact number, the only person who's going to be able to tell you the exact number will be your attorney after all discovery is complete. Now your case is getting to trial, after all the medicals have been obtained, and now your attorney has spoken with the various treating doctors you've gone to and learned from you exactly how your injuries are disabling and those things that you are no longer able to do. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you just to explain to you how important it is to focus not just on what was taken from you, but to focus instead on what you're left with. You know, I realize you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York, and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit, but haven't done so yet because you still have questions that need to be answered, well, what I invite you to do, if you have questions, is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207, or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.